What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video here at Chris's MMA Universe. This video here, I want to discuss just a little bit about Nate Diaz calling out Jorge Masvidal. Now, Nate Diaz called him out just yesterday after UFC 241. After he won his fight, he ended up calling him out after he beat Anthony Pettis. And Jorge Masvidal in the crowd, they actually ended up showing him, and he seemed like he was for it. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't really seem offended like how he usually is. So, it seemed like he was for it. And it's funny because I didn't think about this fight at all until Nate actually called him out is what made me interested. These are like two similar attitude kind of guys, right? Like kind of fighters where they're kind of like, no nonsense kind of guys where, excuse my language, but they don't take no shit, right? So if Nate Diaz were to be able to make that fight happen and Jorge Masvidal actually wants to fight Nate Diaz, now, I'm not going to say Jorge Masvidal wouldn't want to fight him, but I'm going to say that he wouldn't want to fight him because I know Jorge feels like he's next in line for the belt, like he's deserving to fight the winner of Kobe, versus Usman. But if they were to fight, I honestly believe that's just a fun fight. That's a fun fight for the fans. I would extremely enjoy that fight. And I know a lot of you guys out there would feel the same exact way. I mean, imagine these guys just getting in there, and just slugging it out. Now, I feel that Nate Diaz would probably get the better of Jorge Masvidal. I just feel that Nate Diaz would win that fight. I know Jorge Masvidal has been having some phenomenal fights where he's been looking extremely well, where I think Dana White even said that it seems like Jorge Masvidal is taking his career a little more serious. Like, he's finally taking it serious where, earlier in his career it seemed like he really wasn't. It was just, a fight was a fight, and he didn't really care about championships or any of that kind of stuff. It was just more so to feed his family, right? So it seems like he's taking it more serious now. But I'm thinking that Nate Diaz would win. But Jorge Masvidal, from looking so well as he looked, this would be, I think it would be a war. I believe this would be a war, but the thing about Nate Diaz is he thrives in wars. That's the reason why I think Nate Diaz will get the better of Jorge. I really do believe, and I feel confident enough to say that Nate Diaz will win this fight. Nate Diaz is really long. He's not afraid to engage. He's not afraid to get in there. He's like a fast twitch fighter where he just seems like he just doesn't get tired that much, And he's gonna go hard as the fight goes longer. It seems as if when he gets hit more, he's gonna just go harder. Like when he sees his own blood, he gets stronger. You know what I mean? It's crazy to see. And we saw it just last night when he fought Anthony Pettis. It just seems like he went harder as the fight went on. But I do believe that the fact that he called out Jorge, come on now. We know Nate Diaz isn't afraid of anyone at all. So him calling out Jorge, he feels confident enough to beat Jorge. And I do feel confident myself in Nate Diaz to get the better of Jorge in that fight if they were to fight each other. Now, I don't know exactly whether or not this fight will happen. Of course, nobody knows. You just called him out. It sounded fun. And, I just thought I should share this with you guys. But honestly, I believe that Nate Diaz would be able to use his reach, use his length, use his toughness against Jorge, where Jorge, of course, is going to be swinging for the fences trying to take off Nate's head. Of course, right? But Nate Diaz stays in there. In the first fight with Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz took Conor's hardest punches. Now, this is kind of like a touchy subject only because I feel Conor was in that weight class and Conor was in a weight class where he had no business being in. But that's neither here nor there, right? So I'm just saying that Nate Diaz had a nice long layoff. It did seem like he had slight ring rust against Anthony Pettis, but still got the job done. Nate Diaz is gonna. I feel like the Anthony Pettis fight was a good warm-up fight for Nate Diaz to get back in there. But don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything bad about Anthony Pettis, because you can't just fight Anthony Pettis and expect for that to just be a warm-up fight and then that's it. Anthony Pettis is an absolute beast. But Nate Diaz still got it done after the layoff. So now that he ended up getting back in there, he ended up warming up now, to getting back into the cage. He ended up fighting again. He's like back in the mix now. And he's also back in the winner's circle. So him against Jorge Masvidal, I honestly believe Nate has it. Now, I know, Jorge is just like that tough backyard street fighter where he gets in there too. But Nate Diaz came from the streets as well. And I know Nate Diaz was saying, he's not a real West Coast gangster, right? But I honestly believe that this will be a war. But I do believe that Nate's toughness will outlast Jorge Masvidal. And come on now, we all know Jorge is tough as well. He's tough as nails. But I do believe that Nate Diaz has the hammer for him. And I do honestly believe that this will be a very, very fun fight for the fans. And I will be very excited to see it. And I know you guys feel the same way, like I said. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. I mean, I really do believe that this fight can happen. And let's see what happens. I know Jorge might not want to take it because he wants, he wants the title shot. I completely understand. But if they're still, if they're both sitting on the sidelines, because we don't know what Colby and Usman is going to end up doing. So, we don't know how long that's going to take before they fight. I know Dana White said in a post-fight interview yesterday that it's, he sees it happening before the end of the year. But if those two men, meaning Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, are sitting on the sidelines, why not just do it? Right? I mean, do it for the fans. Hopefully they do. Smash that like button. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I really want to know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see all you guys in the next one.